I gave up my chance to attend university and handed all my tuition fees to Cade Cheng. For 4 years of college, he peacefully enjoyed the carefree days I had lifted for him. Meanwhile, I was constantly struggling in the quagmire of life. At graduation, his wedding with the campus belle became the talk of the entire city, but I died of overwork on a stormy night. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the age of 18. Cade Cheng held me and vowed earnestly, "Zara, I'll come back to marry you as soon as I graduate." The sound of a train rushing by echoed in my ears. I opened my eyes, and Cade Cheng held me in his arms. He said, "Zara, don't worry, I will never let you down. Once I graduate and find a job, we'll get married." I rubbed my eyes and realized this wasn't a dream. All the pain from my past life flooded into my mind. I pushed him away with all my strength, and he lost his balance, falling to the ground. But still clutching the money I had given him tightly in his hand, his expression froze in shock. "Zara, what's wrong with you?" I walked up to him, crouched down, and without hesitation snatched the money back. "Cade Cheng, I've changed my mind." His lips trembled. "What do you mean?" I stood up, brushing off the dust on my clothes. "I'm keeping this money for my own college education." Hearing this, he panicked, his eyes widening in disbelief. "Then what about me?" Then he frantically grabbed me. "Zara, didn't we agree? This money is for me. I'm a man. It's easier for me to find a job after college. You're just a girl. A high school diploma is enough. We'll get married after I graduate." In my previous life, that was indeed the case. Cade Cheng and I grew up together since childhood, and our parents arranged a marriage for us when we were young. Both of our families were poor, and my parents were against me pursuing education from the start. So, after we both got into university at the same time, I worked at the factory for a summer and earned my own tuition. But the day before school started, Cade Cheng came to me and said he had no money for his education. Under his pleading, my heart softened. I gave him all the money and cut off my own future. "This time, I won't do it again." I turned to leave, but he grabbed my clothes. His voice trembled slightly. "Zara, help me." I glanced at him, my resolve growing even stronger. "Cade Cheng, your future shouldn't be built by stepping over me. The ones responsible for you aren't me. It's your parents, and yourself. But you're my fiancé. Didn't I say I'd marry you after graduation? Why are you acting like this? A girl doesn't need to study so much." My expression darkened as I pushed his hand away. "It's the 21st century now. Childhood engagements have no legal standing. I'll tell my parents we're calling off the engagement, but whether they agree or not, this betrothal means nothing." His face turned cold. After a long while, when I had walked far enough, I heard him roar behind me, "Zara Liang, you'd better not regret this." I went back home. In the yard, my mom was doing laundry. She glanced up when she saw me return, then stood up, holding her waist, and called me over. "Where have you been fooling around again? I haven't seen you all afternoon. Come here and wash these clothes." I glanced at the basin. It was all my younger brother Liang Zijin's clothes. Let Liang Zijin wash them himself. With that, I ignored her and went straight back to my room. She exploded like a firecracker, standing outside the door and screaming at me, "You ungrateful wretch, useless waste, what's the point of raising you? I'd have been better off giving birth to a piece of roast pork. I should have thrown you in the water back then." I cursed with every foul word imaginable. But I no longer feel any emotional fluctuations, because all of this has become far too commonplace. My father died in a car accident 2 years ago, and after receiving the compensation, my mother chose to settle. She said, "Your younger brother is still small, and I need to save this money for him." So after I received my university acceptance letter, she told me bluntly, "Don't go to college. With your father gone, raising the two of you alone is too much pressure for me. You're 18 now, it's time you shared some of my burden." So, that year, under double pressure, I chose to give up college, then began a life of working odd jobs everywhere. Each month, part of my wages went to Cade Cheng for living expenses, part was sent home to her and Liang Zijin, and I kept only a small portion for my own living costs. I thought this kind of life would only last 4 years for me, as long as Cade Cheng marries me after graduation. But what I waited for was the news of him breaking off our engagement and marrying another woman. Because I worked 3 jobs every day, I suffered from chronic malnutrition and died of overwork on the roadside. No one was sad, no one cared. I sewed the tuition money I earned from working into my pants and slept wearing them. Just one more day, just get through this night, then I can be free from them forever. My life, at last, is starting anew. At 4 in the morning, the sky outside was still dark. I got up in the darkness, my worn-out school bag containing nothing but the admission letter. With the bag on my back and a signed letter of annulment left behind, I quietly ran away. Only when I boarded the train to the university city did my anxious heart finally settle. Standing at the university gates, for the first time, I truly felt the sensation of rebirth. I'm no stranger to Qingnan University, but in my past life, when I came here, it was just to be closer to Cade Cheng. Working a part-time job serving food in the cafeteria, I still remember the scene. Holding a ladle, I excitedly greeted him, eager to share the good news about landing this job. Yet, to my surprise, he immediately lowered his head, pretending not to know me. My roommate saw it and had no choice but to tell others I was a poor relative he barely knew, whom he had to share a room with. Later, he came to me, frowning, and asked me to quit the part-time job. He said, "Zara Liang, don't you realize how embarrassing this is for me?" Back then, I just hung my head and listened to his complaints. Even tears dared not fall until he was gone. I thought my endurance and sacrifices would eventually be rewarded with a good outcome. How foolish, Zara Liang. In this world, no one is reliable except yourself. After completing the registration and paying the tuition fees, I followed the directions to the dormitory. As luck would have it, I ran into Cade Cheng head-on while going downstairs. When he saw me, his face turned livid. I intended to pretend not to know him, but as we passed each other, he suddenly grabbed my wrist. His eyes were filled with resentment. "Zara Liang, do you think I can't go to school without you?" The corner of my mouth twitched as I pushed his hand away. "So what? If you had the money to go to school, why did you have to fixate on my money back then?" His face turned crimson. "If it weren't for you, would my parents have had to travel dozens of miles in the middle of the night to borrow money?" After speaking, he moved closer to me. "Zara Liang, you'll regret this. Do you think just because you've studied, you're different, even if you graduate, as a woman? You won't find a good job. In the end, you'll still have to get married. Let's see who will want you without me. Dreaming of turning a crow into a phoenix? Keep dreaming." I slapped him directly across the face. He was stunned. After a long pause, he finally blurted out, You hit me." "That's exactly what I did. Cade Cheng, let's make things clear right now. Don't bother me again from now on. Let's pretend we never knew each other. Otherwise, I have plenty of ways to make your life miserable." Before he could react, I had already walked away. I found the dormitory, and someone had already arrived before me, my roommate Wen. Her parents were helping her, one wiping the desk, the other making the bed. Leaning against the doorframe, she complained, "The dorm conditions are really poor." Her mother comforted her, saying, "Hang in there, sweetheart. Anyway, our home isn't far from the school. I'll have your dad pick you up on weekends." This scene truly stung my eyes a bit. In my life, I've never had such moments. My parents favored boys over girls. Their eyes were only on my younger brother. In that instant, her gaze met mine. She smiled and extended a friendly hand toward me. "Hello there, new roommate." I dazedly shook her hand. My life, it seemed, was truly beginning to change. On the first day of school, I ran for class monitor, finally succeeded in being elected. I didn't dare to slack off, sitting in the front row for every class and taking diligent notes, because I knew this opportunity was truly hard one for me. After class, I went to the cafeteria and successfully found that part-time job I once had, only this time, it was for myself. With this part-time job, my living expenses are covered, but this is only enough for living expenses. Tuition is still a problem. Wen noticed my predicament and one day approached me, asking if I'd be interested in tutoring. 30 yuan an hour. His cousin, in the 4th grade of elementary school, attends 4 classes every week. I hugged her in pleasant surprise, thanking her for her help. In my previous life, I worked on an assembly line in a factory. Earning 6 yuan an hour, every day, I exhausted myself to the point where I couldn't even straighten my back, yet I only made a little over 40 yuan a day. Suddenly, I felt a bit emotional. Realizing how much knowledge can truly change, I started working part-time at the cafeteria from Monday to Friday and tutoring on weekends. One noon, I was serving meals to classmates in the cafeteria, from a distance. I saw Cade Cheng approaching. He was lining up at my counter. I was somewhat surprised. After all, in my previous life, he had avoided me like the plague once he found out I worked in the cafeteria. Why would he take the initiative to approach me this time? Before long, it was his turn in line. He handed me his lunchbox and pointed at 2 vegetarian dishes. I swiftly scooped the food for him and said, 2 yuan. He hesitated to take it. There was still a line behind me, and I frowned. Just swipe your card. He clenched the hem of his shirt, mustered his courage, and leaned in to whisper to me, Zara, could you give me a little more meat? I glanced at him. Which one do you want? His ears turned bright red. He looked around sheepishly and then said awkwardly, could you give it to me? My parents don't give me much allowance. I put down the spoon I was about to use to scoop the meat and said coldly, either pay with your card or move aside. There are people waiting behind you. His eyes dimmed with disappointment, then he swiped the meal card with a raised hand, and before leaving, his gaze at me grew noticeably more resentful. I rolled my eyes. In my past life, he spent my money while I ate plain buns, and he indulged in lavish meals. He even used my money to pursue other girls. Not once did he spare a second of concern for me. He simply took my sacrifices for granted. I don't understand. Has he grown accustomed to my efforts? Why hasn't he even considered making some money on his own by now? Well, he deserves what's happening today. The semester quickly passed in a fulfilling and vibrant life. Because I ranked in the top 5 of my grade in the final exams, I received a scholarship. I also got the opportunity to change majors. And almost without hesitation, I chose computer science. Summer vacation arrived, and I applied to stay on campus. While cramming computer science courses, I also found a part-time job after work. As I returned to school, Liang Zijin saw me at the dormitory entrance and excitedly ran over. Sis, you're finally back. Mom and I couldn't reach you. My intuition tells me that his appearance doesn't bode well for me. Mom hurt her leg while working, and the county hospital couldn't treat it. So they referred us to the provincial capital hospital. When he and I arrived at the hospital, apart from my mom, there was also an aunt I'd only met twice in my life, if I remember correctly. She had married a city dweller and later moved with her family to the suburbs of the provincial capital. Back in our hometown, she was considered to have married well, so she naturally carried an air of superiority around us. When she saw Liang Zijin bringing me in, she glanced at me and said disapprovingly, Zara, I don't mean to lecture you, but what's the point of you going to college? Don't they teach you how to respect your elders anymore? Your mother is this sick, and you don't even care. My mother shot me a glare and quickly chimed in. Exactly, they say a married daughter is like spilled water, impossible to take back, and here I am, with a daughter who's not even married yet, acting like this. I've raised an ungrateful wretch. Zara, to be honest, you're really lacking in filial piety. You don't think about your mother or your brother at all. Your family's situation isn't good, so you shouldn't have gone to college in the first place. The tuition is expensive and it's a waste of time. Nowadays, a college degree doesn't guarantee a job like it used to. What's the point of a girl reading so many books? You're all just brainwashed by those news stories nowadays. You should have found a job early and gotten married, then supported your younger brother through school. I'm telling you this because I treat you like my own child. Zara, now that your father's gone, your family can only rely on Zijin. It's not too late. Why don't you drop out? Zijin will be taking the college entrance exam in a year. How can your mother possibly support 2 college students all by herself? From the moment I entered the door until now, I haven't even had a chance to say a word, yet the 2 of them have already mapped out my future. I quietly sat down on the stool opposite them. I looked at her and asked, Auntie, isn't Shinshin about to take the college entrance exams soon? Shinshin is her daughter. I heard that she didn't even get into high school initially. And her family had to pull strings everywhere and pay a hefty school selection fee just to barely get her into a rural high school. If college is really as useless as you say, why did you go through so much trouble to get her into high school and take the college entrance exam in the first place? She froze for a moment, her expression turning slightly awkward, but she still stubbornly retorted, "Our family is different from yours. We're from the city. Raising a daughter in the city isn't the same as in the countryside. Besides, we can afford it. Your family situation is so unique. You can't be this selfish. You need to think about your family too." She spoke with apparent logic and reason. I tugged at the corner of my mouth. "Sorry, but I didn't use a single penny from my family to attend this university. Besides, if I can support myself through college, why can't Liang Zijin do the same?" After saying this, I deliberately leaned closer to her. "Auntie, your words and actions are so contradictory. As the first college student in our family, shouldn't you be happy for me as an elder? Are you afraid that after I graduate from college and find a good job, earn money, and make you lose your sense of superiority in front of us?" Hearing this, her eyes widened. She scolded me, saying, "No manners," then she stormed off angrily with her bag. No matter how my mother called after her, she didn't turn back. She was driven away by my anger, and my mother glared at me before throwing an empty bottle in my direction. "Zara Liang, how dare you speak to your elder like that? We don't have money to treat my leg anymore. Your aunt was finally willing to lend us some, and now you've driven her away. Where am I supposed to find the money now? I'm telling you, you have to figure out a way to cover my hospitalization fees, treatment costs, and nutrition expenses." "So this is where the trap was set." I shrugged. "I don't have the money." She sat up excitedly. "Don't think I don't know. Stop pretending. Cade told us everything. How you're working part-time jobs and tutoring at school, and what's more, you even have scholarships. You must have saved up thousands in just one semester. Zara Liang, don't forget, I'm your mother. This money is what you owe me. Don't think just because you've grown wings I can't control you anymore. There are so many expenses at home. What's wrong with you contributing some money? If you don't give it to me today, I'll go make a scene at your school. I'll tell them you abandoned your mother after getting into university. Don't you want to attend college? With your terrible character, I'll make sure the school expels you. I've long known she doesn't love me." But hearing it so bluntly today still brought a pang of sorrow to my heart. Suppressing my impulse, I stood up. "Wang Ying, coming here to see you today is already the greatest mercy I can offer. Money, don't even dream about it. I won't give you a single cent. Since you keep calling me an ungrateful wretch every day, then I might as well truly become that so-called ungrateful wretch. Otherwise, wouldn't I be at a disadvantage?" With that, I pointed to Liang Zijin, who had been standing silently by the side. "If you dare to cause trouble at school and ruin my life, rest assured, your precious son will suffer even worse than me. His life will be over just like mine. I have nothing to lose. I'm barefoot and unafraid of those wearing shoes. From now on, don't bother me again." Hearing me threaten her with Liang Zijin, the color instantly drained from her face. She stared at me in disbelief. After a long pause, she finally managed to utter a complete sentence. You, how could you become like this? I don't have a daughter like you." I laughed and said, "Perfect. Then you'd better act as if you never had a daughter like me from now on." In my previous life, she couldn't wait to marry me off to Cade Cheng to get the bride price. After Cade Cheng broke off the engagement with me, her first reaction wasn't to feel sorry for me, but to scold me for lacking the means to keep a man. The very next day, she went to contact a matchmaker, trying to sell me off to an old bachelor in the neighboring village. All because that man promised her a bride price of 30,000. When she learned of my death, she didn't grieve, she only regretted losing a cash cow. I don't need or want such family anymore. I ignored her and turned to Liang Zijin. "Liang Zijin, you know very well how many benefits you've gained by stepping on me since childhood. Since your mother said today that I'm no longer her daughter, from now on you'll be the only child of the Liang family." With that, I turned and walked away. Liang Zijin panicked and grabbed me. "Sis," I shook off his hand. "Don't worry, your mom has money. Back when your dad had the car accident, the compensation was 200,000. Even without this money of mine, It's enough for your education and marriage. Later, Liang Zijin came to the school to look for me twice, but I avoided him both times. Soon, the new semester began. Since I changed my major, I quit my part-time job at the cafeteria. After class every day, it's either the library or the study room, of course. The effort paid off. Not only did I catch up with everyone's progress, but I also ranked at the top. 2005 was a time of rapid internet development. I had to seize this opportunity. In my previous life, I worked at a clothing wholesale market, where a girl would come every weekend to buy some clothes in bulk, saying she was going to sell them online. A month before I passed away, I happened to see her interview on TV. She had transformed into the owner of a clothing company. So, in my sophomore year, I used my professional knowledge to create a website and started selling clothes. Then, on weekends, I would take several bus rides alone to the clothing wholesale market. Using the money I had saved to purchase my first batch of goods, at that time, the competition wasn't fierce, and soon my website was discovered by many, resulting in orders. As a result, my free time outside of classes was spent either at the wholesale market or packing and shipping orders. After about half a year, I earned my first pot of gold in life, a net profit of around 100,000 yuan after deducting costs. With this money and the order volume from those 6 months, I approached a clothing factory and proposed a collaboration. Soon, the person in charge received me, listened to my plans and creative proposal, and agreed to let me give it a try. Since we were working directly with the original manufacturers, the costs were significantly reduced. Coupled with the continuously increasing order volume, in just half a year, I earned nearly 1 million. Looking at the balance in my bank account, I rubbed my eyes several times. It turns out, I can truly live this well on my own. During the summer vacation of my junior year, I bought 2 apartments in my university's city with 600,000 yuan, because I knew that in just 1 more year, housing prices would skyrocket. One was near the school, and the other was in the city center. No matter what changes may come in the future, I at least have 2 properties that are guaranteed to appreciate in value as my safety net. By the end of my junior year, everyone was struggling to find internship opportunities. Meanwhile, my online store was growing bigger and bigger. A company approached me, offering to buy my online store for 30 million. 30 million is no small amount for me, so I thought about it for a week before agreeing. Because when I was running the store before, I also updated a blog. Over these 2 years, the blog has accumulated a small following. With this foundation, starting a new store shouldn't be too difficult. Coincidentally, when I first opened the shop, it was just to make money. Now that I have the money, I've also discovered the joy of working with clothing during this time. Seizing this opportunity, I can focus on doing what I truly love, creating my own clothing brand. On the day the contract was signed, 30 million was deposited into my account. Now, seeing the amount in my account no longer surprises me as much as it used to. I spent 2 days in my dormitory carefully thinking and made a plan for the future. To create my own clothing brand, it would be best to learn some professional knowledge about fashion. Therefore, I decided to pursue a master's degree in Milan. Taking advantage of the weekend, I found a study abroad agency and presented my requirements. After a year of preparation, I believe that by this time next year, I'll be standing in a school in Milan, doing things I never dared to dream of before. Over the weekend, I planned to go study for the IELTS. Just as I reached the campus gate, I saw Cade Cheng handing a bouquet of flowers to a girl across from him. Upon closer look, the girl turned out to be Vera Lin, the wife he had struggled to marry in my previous life. Vera Lin was the only child of a local family. It was said her father owned a small factory, and their family was quite well off. Back then, Cade Cheng's ability to marry her was considered a leap up the social ladder. I had thought the plot would follow the same path as the previous life, with Vera Lin accepting him, and both of them living happily ever after. Yet the next second, Vera Lin grabbed the flowers and threw them to the ground, her face clearly filled with anger. Cade Cheng, I've had enough of you. Today is my birthday, and you think you can just brush me off with a lousy bouquet? Cade Cheng lowered his head awkwardly and explained, Vera, I'm a bit short on cash lately, but don't worry, I'll buy you anything you want in the future. Vera Lynn rolled her eyes. Later, later. It's always later with you. Last week, I even paid for our movie tickets. Her boyfriend gave her a designer bag for her birthday. How could I end up with such a loser of a boyfriend? How am I supposed to compare to her? Her voice was so loud that it drew a crowd of classmates gathering to watch the drama. Cade Cheng clenched his fists in embarrassment and whispered pleadingly, Vera, please try to understand me. My parents are farmers back home and don't have much money, but believe me, once I graduate, I'll land a good job, and I'll buy you anything you want. Vera Lynn pushed his hand away. I don't care, you have 1 week to get me a designer bag, or we're through. With that, she walked out without a hint of hesitation, her high heels clicking, leaving Cade Cheng standing there alone, his face pale as a sheet. In my past life, because of my support, he hardly ever worried about money and never once felt sorry for my hardships, but now, he finally understands how hard his parents work to earn money. After watching the scene unfold, I slung my bag over my shoulder and headed straight for the door. Just as I was about to leave, he turned and saw me. Our eyes met, and he awkwardly waved at me, Zara, heading out. As he spoke, he noticed the IELTS textbook in my arms. Looking up in surprise, he asked, "Why are you studying for IELTS?" I didn't want to argue with him, so I casually said, "Just bored, playing around." He nodded with a vague understanding, then looked me up and down. "Zara, it seems like you're doing pretty well." Indeed, everything I was wearing today probably added up to over 10,000. Even if he didn't recognize the brands, the quality alone would show it wasn't cheap. I raised an eyebrow. Neither confirming nor denying, he walked over with a somewhat ingratiating expression. "Zara, I heard from someone that you seem to be doing some online business and made a bit of money. Plus you get a scholarship every year, right? So, do you think you could lend me some? I'm in urgent need of money right now, not too much, just 20,000. I'll definitely pay you back as soon as possible." I looked at him as if he were an idiot. "Cade Cheng, do I have sucker written on my face?" He scratched his head awkwardly. "No, that's not what I meant. You know graduation is coming up, and I'm scrambling to find an internship. But with so many college students and so few jobs. Vera Lynn has connections at home. If I want to stay here, she's my only hope. I can't afford to offend her. Zara, don't worry, I'll definitely pay you back. All these years, you've never dated anyone. I know you still haven't gotten over me. I promise. Once I marry Vera Lynn and get my hands on her family's money, I'll come back and marry you." Okay, it was like hearing a ghost story. I was so startled I leaped 2 meters away from him, then I pointed at him and yelled, "Who the hell do you think you are? Wait for me to come back and marry you. Get lost, you gold-digging loser. Even if every other man on earth dropped dead, I'd never be with you." Hearing me curse at him like that, he stood there with a face ashen with rage. After a long daze, he pointed at me and shouted, "Zara Liang, don't think I don't know. Your money comes from men. Others might believe you earned it by running a shop, but do you really think I'd buy that? Let me tell you. I'd never want a woman like you. Oh, and just you wait. I'll make sure to tell your mom all the disgraceful things you've done at school, and I'll spread the word in the village too. Let's see how she deals with you." With that, he turned and stormed off. I didn't have time to argue with him any longer, so I went out and took a taxi to the tutoring center. With a clear goal in mind, the days passed by quickly. I passed the IELTS exam on my first try, meeting the study abroad requirements. After preparing all the necessary documents, I finally received the offer from my dream school. Only my academic advisor and dorm roommates knew about my study abroad plans. When they found out I got the offer, they all clamored for me to treat them to a meal. I readily agreed. Just as everyone was packing up to leave, the class monitor ran over with a slightly odd expression. "Zara, the advisor wants to see you in the office." When I arrived at the office, I saw my mom and Cade Cheng standing inside. My heart sank. When she saw me, my mother walked towards me with a cold expression, muttering angrily. She swung her hand, and I dodged to the side, causing her to slap the air. "Zara Liang, you've really outdone yourself. Did I send you to college so you could chase after old men? I froze for a moment, then noticed the somewhat guilty-looking Cade Cheng behind me and instantly understood everything. I stepped forward, staring at him and asked, "Cade Cheng, which eye of yours saw me hooking up with a sugar daddy?" He didn't dare meet my gaze but still stubbornly retorted, "Isn't it obvious? Where else would you get so much money? And I've seen you go to that high-end neighborhood near campus several times before, Zara Liang. I'm not trying to criticize you, but what you're doing is a disgrace to us college students." I looked at him coldly. "So in your eyes, if I have money, it must have been obtained through shady means. Of course, even as a guy, I can't earn much money, let alone a woman like you, Zara Liang. You're such a disappointment." I turned to ask my mom, "Do you think the same way he does?" She glared at me. "Stop talking nonsense. No wonder you haven't come home these years. Turns out you had somewhere else to go. Tell me honestly today, how much money do you actually have?" I laughed and retorted, "What does my money have to do with you? Your brother didn't get into college, went out to work and met a girl. Her family wants a 200,000 betrothal gift. Since you have money now, as his older sister, you should be the one to pay for this, right?" The counselor behind me twitched the corner of his mouth. "Parent of Zara Liang, these are all just speculations without evidence. Teacher's son, sorry for the embarrassment, but rest assured, I absolutely did not do any of the things they accused me of." I turned back and assured the counselor, "Also, what my mother said about supporting me through college is completely baseless. Over these 4 years, I've worked to pay for all my university tuition and living expenses myself. She hasn't given me a single cent. So now, she really has no right to stand here and question me. Her purpose for coming here today boils down to just 2 things. First, she heard I have money now and wants to figure out my financial situation. And second, to see how much she can squeeze out of me for my brother." Hearing this, my mother immediately started shouting, "You heartless brat. After all the years I've raised you, even if there's no credit, there's hard work. If you don't give me the money, I'll make a scene at your principal's office. I'll call the police, report you for corrupting social morals and have both you and that lover of yours arrested. At this point, there's no need for me to hide it anymore." I stepped forward, and she immediately fell silent. I glanced around and spoke slowly, "I do have some money. But this money wasn't given by anyone. It was earned through my own work. Over the past few years, I've run an online clothing store. With some luck, I've managed to save up a bit. Later, a company took a liking to my shop and bought it with money. Oh, the neighborhood Cade Cheng saw me enter. The house was bought by me." As the words fell, Cade Cheng's face turned pale. How is that possible?" My mother's expression instantly changed. I knew my daughter would never do such things." "Cade, not to be rude, but are you jealous of our Zara? Jealous that a girl like her earns more than you?" After some back and forth, we left the office. I walked ahead when Cade Cheng ran over and stopped me. "Hey Zara, I'm sorry." I glanced at him coldly and said, "Move," but he remained motionless. Looking up with a pleading expression, he said, "Zara, please help me. Graduation is coming soon, and I still haven't found a job. Vera broke up with me. And my mom's leg is in bad shape. We can't afford treatment. You're doing so well now. Could you lend me some money?" "No," I said firmly. "Cade Cheng, I have no obligation to help you. We've long ceased to be on the same path. Once we step out of this school gate, we'll never see each other again. So don't expect a stranger to help you." He wanted to say something more, but my mother pushed him aside. With a face full of wrinkles, she smiled at me and said, "Zara, there were times when I was wrong, but we're mother and daughter after all. No matter what, we're family. Blood is thicker than water, and even if the bone is broken, the tendons remain connected. You're so capable now. Mom can enjoy life with you. Look, I haven't even been to the house you bought yet. Why don't you give me a key?" I rolled my eyes at her and shot back, "You can't withdraw money from a bank card that's never had savings." Then I ignored them and quickly went downstairs. I know they won't let me off so easily, so, after completing the procedures for studying abroad, I planned to rent out both apartments after going overseas. Before leaving, I also went to have my will notarized. All my assets, in the event of my passing without any descendants, will be unconditionally donated to stray animal rescue centers. After graduation, I traveled solo around the country. By the time I returned from my travels, I had only 3 days left before my postgraduate studies began. Dragging my luggage home, I spotted 2 figures crouching at the doorway from a distance. Liang Zijin's voice came through. "Mom, do you think Zara Liang will come back? It's been half a month, and there's no sign of her." My mother's sharp voice rang out. "The house is still here. She can't run away. Don't worry, I've asked around. She's worth millions now. It's only right she shares some with us. When she comes back, we'll make her buy you an apartment and hand over a few million. With that kind of money, you could marry anyone you want. Then, I'll move in with her and have her hire a maid to take care of me. I deserve to enjoy my golden years in comfort." Ha 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 ha. The 2 of them laughed excitedly at the thought. I picked up the suitcase, pressed the elevator button, and quietly went downstairs. After settling into a hotel, I went to the real estate agency to change the rental agreement to a sale, fully entrusting the property to the agency. After staying at the hotel for 3 days, I took the earliest flight to Italy. Before boarding, I answered Liang Zijin's call. His urgent voice came through. "Sis, you finally picked up. Where are you?" I glanced at the plane outside. "Get to the point, sis." Before he could finish, my mom snatched the phone from him. "Zara, we're at your doorstep. When are you coming back? Your brother needs money. And you have to take care of him. He's your only brother, and you'll need to rely on him in the future." I chuckled lightly. "Don't wait, I won't be coming back. From now on, you probably won't be able to find me ever again. Don't even dream of getting a single penny from me, I'm telling you. I'd rather donate all my money than give it to you. Oh, just pretend you never had a daughter from now on." After saying that, I hung up the phone. Then pulled out the SM card and threw it in the trash. Later, I successfully completed my graduate studies in Milan, updating my status from blog to Weibo, so I had quite a few followers. After all the preparations were done, I founded my own clothing brand. After that, I opened stores both online and offline. Within a few years, offline stores had almost covered all first and second tier cities in the country. By the time I returned to the country, 8 years had already passed. I went to cut the ribbon for the newly opened store. The store was located in the most bustling mall of a first-tier city. I stepped out of the car with my meticulously applied makeup, and a mall security guard jogged over to open the door for me. Our eyes met, and Cade Cheng stood frozen in shock. I glanced at his security uniform without much expression, then averted my gaze and followed the mall's general manager into the elevator. I didn't spare him another glance. After all, we were no longer on the same path. By chance, because of work, Shanshan from the same village got my contact information. She told me that Cade Cheng failed too many courses in college and didn't get his diploma. Later, he kept hitting walls while job hunting, working as a security guard, in sales, and in insurance. But he was too proud and never stuck with any job for long. In the blink of an eye, he was almost 30, no money, no career, and couldn't even find a wife. As for my mom, 5 years ago, she hurt her back while working and went to the hospital for treatment. My younger brother took advantage of this time to transfer all her money away to open a shop for his girlfriend. In the end, the shop failed, and the girlfriend left. 2 people at home fight every day. My mom complains to the neighbors every day. If only I had treated Zara Liang better back then. Liang Zi doesn't go to work now, just idles at home waiting to die. The 2 of them barely scrape by, relying on my mom occasionally doing odd jobs for others. At that moment, I was lying on a beach chair in the Maldives, reading the messages Shanshan had sent me. I felt no emotional fluctuation whatsoever. In my previous life, I died exhausted by the roadside. No one pitied me, no one cared, no one regretted it. But in this life, they only regret it because I've become valuable. But I don't need any of these anymore. I'll live a better life alone.